What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Tactical Foul. Today we're doing a little bit of a different thing. Obviously, we have some familiar faces. We have a new face in here. Today we're going to be tackling the big six clubs, the title contenders, if that's what you want to call them. Because I think for the first time in a long time, we actually have a title race that's not going to be wrapped up with 2 months to go, basically. Which is nice and it's fun. So we're going to talk about a little bit, and we're going to be talking about the one signing each club can make that can aid the most in their title charge. So before we get going, I'm going to introduce everybody. I'm going to start with Tyler Channel, Cameron Baker, and then new to the podcast, we have Thomas Mimbiel, longtime friend, longtime teammate. So welcome, Thomas. Thanks for joining for the first time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks to the two of you as well. Obviously, Cameron still thinks he's part owner of this. He's not going to see a dot.
I actually have something to say. I think it's important. I just listened to the one with Colin today, and I think you owe me $1 for every time you said my name in the podcast, because that first 35 minutes, my name was littered on that.
Blame Colin for that. Blame Colin for sure.
Oh, no. It came out of your mouth, too.
It is what it is. You're still not getting any money out of this. So I think, unfortunately, as much as I don't want to start with them, we have to start with probably the team that is still the favorite, last year's champion, and that would be Liverpool. I do want to say, for me, when I'm thinking about these picks, I want them to be semi-realistic. But there has to be a fine line, because if we go all realistic, there's probably no signings because we're in a weird window where not too many people are going to spend a lot of money. So for the sake of this, we're going to a little less realism. So Liverpool, for me, they need center backs. Obviously, with the injuries, that's killed them. And I think that they need a center back going forward. Obviously, you have Van Dijk, who will be back. So I think they need a left-footed center back. So I'm just going to kind of throw out two picks. My number one for them, I hope that doesn't happen, but it would be David Alaba. I think it's realistic because obviously it's a big signing, but he's at the last year of his contract. And so a lot of things can happen. Obviously, they've already made deals with Thiago there. Who knows? Liverpool is a big club, so they have some draw, unfortunately. The next one, a little less money. You go to Inter, and that would be Skriniar, the left-sided center back there. Good center back, a top player in that league. And I think he would do a good job, big imposing center back. So I'll let these guys discuss, give their picks, and tear mine apart.
Who wants to go first?
Skriniar's not bad. I mean, he's not really playing under Antonio Conte, so it's actually like pretty realistic pick. I just think Van Dijk comes okay. So you're saying for the rest of the year, I can understand that, but then you have like this overload of center backs you don't really need. Unless you don't believe Joe Gomes or Matip can handle being a second, which most people, I think you included, have said that Joe Gomes is the truth. So then you're just like adding a good center back into that rotation for no real reason. So I debate center back in general, but I think Skriniar is the better of the two pick because Alba is just, we all know this. Alba is not a center back. I get that he's playing it,
yeah,
but he's a left back, maybe a center mid because he's done that for Austria. But like to say that he's a center back, I think is a bit much. It's not where you'd want him. That's my opinion.
What if he stays there though long term? Do you know that?
At Bayern?
Yeah. He could be back for the rest of the time though, right?
That's what I would assume, but I assume that with Thiago too, he just won a Champions League. Why would he not stay at Bayern? But money is money, I suppose.
I think for like Alaba, I think it's very possible he stays at center back or center mid for the rest of his career, considering you have Alphonso Davies now playing left back. So I think he's transitioning. He is, and it makes sense, right? Yeah, of course he's one of the best left backs in the world when he's playing. He's also an unbelievable center mid, but it's a position where he can still be dominating. He can use the athleticism and all those things, obviously incredibly technical. But as he gets older and the athleticism drops, he's can still be one of the world's best center backs because you don't have to be as athletic as he is playing center back as he is when he's playing left back. So that would be my argument.
I'm with you on that. Someone that's been on my radar that for Liverpool, I know we'll get to City later, but is Sergio, because he's out on a free come now, isn't he? Sergio Ramos, isn't he on a free now?
Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
I think he could give out now.
Yeah,
I mean,
believe
that's
so.
someone that would walk right into loads of experience, loads of trophies, could walk right into either of those, piece together what it's. I mean, it's like what Thiago Silva's doing, but an upgrade, right? To compare to, I would say Sergio Ramos is an upgrade compared to what Thiago Silva is.
That's probably fair to say.
And look how much Thiago Silva has helped Chelsea for the most part, you know. So I mean, filling in, giving some leadership roles, I think he would do with City and Liverpool. I mean, if he went into either of those, I think that would almost guarantee either of those teams the Prem, in my mind at least.
Yeah, I think if you're looking just like straight, like best player you could possibly get to fill Van Dijk's hole, yeah, for sure. He's arguably the best center back of all time. So like you can't really lose there.
Yeah, I mean it's a good pick. I mean, I think that one probably, and I think Alba's in the category, but a little less so just because of pedigree. And he's a little bit younger. I think Ramos probably skirts that line of like.
I mean, are we going with to win the Prem? Sorry to cut you off. Are we going to win the Prem this year, or like literally long term? Because there's better long term picks obviously than Ramos.
Yeah, I think it's to best aid them in their title challenge this year. But again, I think what I would say is like. He probably really is skating that line of realistic because there's no way, like Real Madrid, I don't even think he would leave on a free. I think he would do best by the club, and so that would be my guess. But
I mean, here's the thing: could you see Messi eventually leaving?
I mean,
same situation, right? I mean, you think Messi would do best by the club, but I could easily see Messi getting out of there.
Yeah, I think it might be a little different just because the club hasn't, in the last few years, done the best by him.
That's true.
So that I think that's why that's a different situation. But so I think I'll let Thomas talk a little bit to give his opinion on those though.
Yeah, I had Alaba in mind. I think Reece Williams has been fine. I don't think he's not going to be able to be good long term though for the rest of the year. I think for me, another thing with Alaba, if you were to bring him in, as you said, you've already done it with Thiago. You already have that business connection kind of with Bayern. A lot of Klopp has kind of rotated in like Fabinho. You know, he's moved back from center defensive mid to center back. Whether you want to move Alaba into that center defensive mid, whether you want him in that center back, I think the versatility is another big thing. So I think he brings that. He's not unseating Robertson at left back, so I think you can really focus more in on the center of the pitch and see what he can do there.
Yeah, and I think that versatility also, like we talked, he's not going to take over for Robertson. Robertson's young, like, you know, fairly young, and he's doing. I mean, he's phenomenal, right? Robertson, possibly the best left back in the world, but it also does give them a little bit of cover at left back, which there isn't much there in terms of depth at left back. Maybe I know they bought like a young guy from like Greece,
Milner, man.
but Milner's probably the best second left back they have in the club, and he's got to be reaching 40 at some point pretty soon. So, and then I think center mid. I don't know. It'd probably take honestly if all the center backs come back, Joe Gomez is great. I don't know. I think Jordan Henderson's been great. Like as far as for them, I think that if you have Alaba, I think. Alaba's a better player even in center mid than Jordan Henderson still, so you're improving no matter what.
Okay, so my only curveball is that they need a midfielder that connects the midfield to the forwards more than a center back. So I would go after a center midfielder more than I would a center back.
A center mid, as in like just like a straight up center mid, like an 8 or like a 10.
Nope, a center mid that connect, like an 8 or a 10 that connects the midfield to the forwards. Because right now they have Jordan Henderson, Gini, and Thiago basically, or Fabinho. You know, those are all workhorse recoveries, short passing. Maybe you get with Wijnaldum like a little bit of dribbling into the attack, but not necessarily like really good, passing into the forwards or even just production. It doesn't have to be like, Bruno who just sits up by the forwards and does nothing else, but
Nice shot
more
there.
of more of a guy that fits their style. So a lot of running, physicality, but also can chip in with goals, and also can obviously is technical and can pass. So my pick for Liverpool would have been Goretzka from Bayern, who gives you goals, gives you running, which is high press, Liverpool style, but also like can play as an 8 or a 10 in a little bit more attack style, or in that system gives you a little bit more aggressive passing up the field that gets the ball to Mo, gets the ball to Sane. Obviously, like Bobby can,
I think that might.
Bobby's useless, but you could get a forward too to replace Bobby.
I wonder if that's the argument, because as much as I don't think Firmino is this top level striker. He's a very good player, and I wonder if that's the argument, is that they have Firmino, who does drop very deep and kind of plays that role of like getting the ball and then finding Mo and finding Mane, and different things like that. And I think
but Goretzka's like a better Jordan Henderson.
Oh, for sure. Oh, absolutely.
Does all the work that Jordan does, but actually can produce in the box.
No, I think it's fair. I think I think three of us went. Well, actually, Tyler, you went striker though, didn't you? With your first thing, or no, you went center back. Sorry.
I do think they need another forward though. I mean, Diego Jota's out, and they're struggling for goals right now. Not that front three is not elite by any means, but I mean, heaven forbid one of those guys go down with Champions League and every cup game going on right now. I mean, that's why they brought in Jota, right? And then now he's down, so it's like
they definitely could use more depth. I do wonder. Go ahead, Thomas.
Name that kind of crossed my mind. I don't think he's been playing a ton for Dortmund. What about Julian Brandt?
Yeah, I mean, he's that type.
I think he would fit in well. I think he's pretty.
That's such a good Leicester pick, though. You know, a wide player that's fast, that scores 0 goals.
Yeah,
that's true. That is true.
A good Willian. You know, that's all Leicester about. You know?
I would hate to see it, because I think he would do really good. But I think a player that would probably he would play higher than Goretzka, but someone like Jack Grealish would be exactly what Liverpool needs. Right? He's not necessarily Bruno. He doesn't stay as high. He'll play all over the field. Apparently, Bruno doesn't do that.
Problem is Bruno plays so wide all the time. Or I'm sorry, not Bruno. It's in my brain right now.
Just to hate on him, I know.
Jack Grealish plays so wide so often for Villa. It's almost like McMinn is what you're really thinking of.
Yeah, McGinn. Yeah. I think
all good players.
I think that when we talk about it, I think the center back is the pressing need of this season, but I think going forward, I think getting that extra player that's going to find those forwards is something maybe that they need looking for the future. But they can.
I also do think the center back is huge, but one person we didn't talk about is Upamecano. I think the guy with Van Dijk would be an absolute.
Oh, absolutely, and I just think
I can't use Upamecano because he's on a different team. So
I also think
Kyle only told me to pick one player. So Jack Grealish is a great pick, but he only told me to pick one guy.
I'll stick to my Ramos then. I'll stick to my Ramos for Liverpool.
It's fine. I think Upamecano is a great pick, and I think any team that needs a center back, he's probably one of the first names because of his age, how well he's doing. Different things like that.
I'll even for a different team.
But
different team, Tyler. Different team.
The one thing I will say about him, and I imagine we're going to be talking about him later, is I see him as a summer pickup because of his release clause. It goes from 80 million was what he's looking at now, and then the release clause is 40 million. People are going to buy him in the summer because that just makes more sense. But moving on.
Plus, Leipzig is contending for a title right now.
Yeah, for sure. And
they're not selling anybody. They just picked up an amazing center mid. Like they're not.
They're doing just fine. The next team, they're next in the table. This is why we're going with them. Is United, tied on points. You guys can hate all you want, but we're if we win or tie, we're in first place in our next game because Liverpool has been shit in the bed lately. Can't score any goals, but United is in there. Let's be real. They were damn near Arsenal. They damn near were out of this Big Six pretty close, and we've crawled our way back in. For me, if you look, there are some needs. I know that you could say center back. And I wouldn't really argue at times. I think we have enough, as long as people are healthy, to get by with the center backs we have. The one position I think we need the most is a holding mid. I think our center backs are fine, but they need a player that's going to sit, that can be more mobile. I think Matic 4 years ago was everything you need for the most part. A player that can shield the back line incredibly well, can move. He's never been super mobile, but he could move all over the place. He can do it, and he was good in possession. For me, I'll kind of give one that's probably a little unrealistic, and then one that's a little more realistic. The number one guy who's just I know is going to sit, and he's going to do the job. He's going to clean things up. He's kind of Conte light, and that's Ndidi from Leicester. He's the guy that's going to just clean things up. He's pretty good. His passing percentage is actually a little bit higher than what I thought it was going to be, especially medium range passing as well. So he can break a few lines and do things like that. The other guy, and I think is very realistic, 25 years old, Rangier from Marseille, playing holding mid, doing really well. Everyone besides PSG in the French league is hurting for money, and so I think we could get him for a pretty cheap price. And honestly, the guy I would say, one guy who's not younger, but I think would do a good job, just got hurt, and that's Axel Witsel, who's been killing it at Dortmund. But obviously, Achilles injury is probably not going to help us too much going forward. So those are my guys for right now. Let's hear it. Let's hear all the hate.
No,
waiting.
I mean holding mid is the right play. I mean, with like how little gets called on your center backs, like yeah, you could throw anybody in there, you know. I mean, you got center backs that kick other players in the nuts, headlock people to the ground, nothing gets called. So like, it doesn't matter. You could put a mannequin at center back, and you guys would keep a clean sheet. But I kind of just disagree with the style. Like, I think Declan Rice is more your style. Like, fucking big ass unit, good in the air. Like, United has definitely kind of shifted towards like massive humans as players, besides Bruno. But like, Harry's huge, Pogba's huge, Scott McTominay is huge. So athlete, good on the ball, can shield, a leader too. I feel like, you know, that would fit with your team too. Just help with the amount of partying that happens.
I do love the Declan Rice shot because I know he was linked with Chelsea like quite a bit, and I was like, I would love to have him obviously, but I don't really get it too much because we already have Conte and he's quite similar. I do think United desperately needs a center back though. Like, I'm against Cam on that one. I think they desperately do because I just think they're shocking in the back. Like,
yeah, they definitely are. It's just like the way they're going right now, it doesn't matter.
No, I know, but like someone that I know he's linked with City quite a bit, but like Koulibaly, like I think he would like fit in right away. Like I know I said Upamecano earlier, but I'm gonna put him with a different team. But they desperately need someone that's way better than Harry Maguire. Like the fact that Harry Maguire is the best center back on the team is.
Whoa! Chill. No, second best center back. Second best center back on the team.
Don't let Kyle fool you.
Who's the best center back?
Kyle is a stand for Harry Maguire.
No, Eric Bailly is the best center back we have on the squad.
Oh yeah.
I've been saying this for years. I've been saying this.
You have not.
I've been saying if he's healthy.
Last year that Harry Maguire was the best center back on the planet.
Nah.
If we're saying Eric Bailly is the best center back on your team, then you need another center back.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's the thing: is Declan could probably play center back too. So I think
Declan could, but that's the same Alaba kind of argument. It's like now you're taking Declan Rice could play anywhere in the back, I would think.
The only thing I have with Declan is I think Declan's got some. I'm not saying he's like completely inept when it comes to being technical and stuff. The difference. The only other one that I would throw in there, and just because like I think Fred does like a decent job of running around, but like he can't handle a press to save his fucking life. Like a guy like Bruno Guimaraes, who's also another guy that's in the French league as well, from Lyon, could do it as well. That's the only thing is like you need someone who can handle a press and do those type of things and can pass out.
Disagree. That's not how you guys play. totally disagree.
Well, I think it's
you
the
guys
thi-
are more direct than that.
and I understand that, but I think it's the thing that we struggle with. We give up goals because of like shitty mistakes out of possession. Like that's a lot of times how we're giving up goals. And like sloppy play that either leads to a goal or leads to a set piece, and we all know we're giving up a goal on a fucking set piece. So, like, I think if
Declan would help with that.
and that's fair. So that's my only drawback from Declan is I think that he's good and he's still young, so he could get better. But I think that maybe he doesn't give as much. I think that he would kind of be a similar mold of what we kind of have. Obviously, he might be better, but I think similar mold is like athletic, can break up plays, can shield really well, but it is leaves a little bit to be desired when it comes to the holding on to the ball.
Yeah, I think you're thinking about like Barcelona, Man City style. Like you guys just aren't on the ball that much.
No,
And he's more than technical enough for like your Manchester United style.
Declan Rice is incredible. He gets a shot on literally any team in the Prem, even if you're talking about. I know City probably not.
100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
maybe not City. That's just based on style though. It's not really.
Liverpool probably in down besides City. He gets a shot at starting at holding mid on any team.
Declan is way more technical than I think you think he is.
I don't think he's not technical. I don't know that I think I'm just thinking about who we have, and I don't know that he's that much more technical, if at all more technical than like Fred or.
My last point before I concede is that you said your first number one issue with holding mid was going to be someone that sits and shields the back four. Yeah. And then you're flipping and saying he needs to be super technical. I think he's very technical, but I think Declan's priorities and strengths are literally right in line with what
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. He's just not the first guy. I think Ndidi, just for me, is going to be the guy he's just going to shield he's going to be everywhere making the tackles. Honestly, I just want Conte at my team, and that's the closest thing I'm ever going to come to Conte. So, let's go.
Yeah, fuck off.
Thomas, your thoughts?
Yeah, I had Declan Rice up there pretty much far and away as best option for reasons that have already been given. I think he's one of the few people you could bring in. He'd actually make a difference right away. I think a lot of these other options, like I had Bissouma from like Brighton, but like he's not breaking into that team.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think. So I think Declan Rice does what they need him to do. Cam talked about that extensively, so I won't rehash that, but I think he's spot on.
So I think besides Tyler, I think we're all agreeing though that holding mid is probably the number one thing that's going to really catapult us forward if we have a chance, if we want to have a chance for a title. The next team, some would say are still the favorites for them. And honestly, they have some games in hand, and they'll be very close in points if they win those games, which wouldn't be a surprise. But that is Manchester City. For me, they don't have a whole lot of flaws, unfortunately. They're really fucking good, and it pisses me off so much. But the one flaw, the one hole that I see is left back. I think Mendy's not been what they wanted, and Zinchenko's not even a left back. They've just kind of used him there, I think, because he's left-footed, and that's basically about it. And then, I think the guys for me, I think it's not – honestly, the perfect guy for me is hurt right now, and that's Digne from Everton. If they could get Digne, that would be a monster signing for them. But he's hurt, so obviously and not really sure when he's going to come back. So the next two guys that I look that are around are Grimaldo, who's playing in the Portuguese league. Obviously, there's been some success buying out of that league recently. And then the other one would be Tagliafico from Ajax. Doing a good job for them, obviously starting. Both of those guys contribute offensively really well as well. I think Tagliafico has like 7 assists. Grimaldo has like 6 or something like that. So they're providing options, and they're good technical players, which is exactly what City's going to want. So those are my two.
I'll go last on mine. Mine's the most unrealistic.
Thomas, want to take it away or what?
Yeah, I can do that. I think at Real Madrid, you have 2 very high-quality left backs with Marcelo and Mendy. Would one of those want to jump at the opportunity to go to City and maybe win a title? I think that's kind of what jumped into my mind.
Marcelo pick.
Hey, you never know.
That's not bad. It's a shout
Actually,
out.
like that. That's
I don't have a
ballsy.
ton of like details on that, but that just kind of what was popped into my head as, I think they would step into the team. I think they'd make a difference. I just don't know if Marcelo would leave.
That's fair.
I think I saw a crazy stat about Real. Like when Marcelo starts, they've won like one game in the last like crazy amount or something. Do you guys know anything about that or no?
I know that he
sounds
hasn't
right.
played very much. He's not had a great time recently, but either has Real in terms of the success Real usually has either. So
The guy that I think City desperately needs a forward. I'm kind of just all the clean sheets they've been having and all this stuff in the back. I think a person that would be a great shot would be Martinez from Inter, throwing up there up front instead of, because obviously Aguero might be gone, he might be coming back, who knows, but Jesus is not the key, and I just think if you bring in another guy, they desperately need a forward. I think he'd be a good shout to bring in someone that can just bag.
yeah, I mean,
That's a great one, actually. I think that's great. I mean, like, really, like, City recently has been, like, all about a guy in the box, one-touch finishing. Like, that's what Aguero's fed off of for the last few years with Pep.
Yeah.
And, like, there's, like, very few people in world football right now that are as good at one-touch finishing as Martinez. Super good. Mine was not forward, but that if I were to agree with a forward, that's a really good shout. Anyway, my unrealistic left back is Saka from Arsenal. That kid is a wizard, an absolute wizard. And he's like a buy for right now and I think the future, but they need a left back. And I know he's played like left wing back before, but under Pep, that a guy like that is that technical and that good on the ball could easily be a left back. It's like Danny Alves.
He's Trent.
Left.
He's Trent.
He's
on
like
the left.
He's like it just gets shades of these Danny Alves, could be a left back like that. Him and Raheem is kind of like a messy Danny type situation because Raheem is an amazing player. And I just don't see, you just like very rarely see players that could play left back that are that technical and that good on the ball. Because you could say like Grimaldo or Gaia, but Danny Alves was like a special type of technical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Under Pep Guardiola. He was like not even a back. He revolutionized that. And Saka could probably do something quite similar. So that would be my.
Saka was a winger originally too. He got molded into like a left back, and now he's like a wing back. So he pretty much would play it as a winger as well at City.
Right. Yeah. That's what their teams do. Is their outside backs are so offensive. They're almost wide midfielders or interior midfielders. Like they have more qualities of midfielders than they do backs. And so, especially with like Kyle Walker and who's the guy they just bought from Juventus?
Cancelo.
Those guys are more like atypical outside backs. They don't look like Danny Alves did.
No.
So they could bet on Saka being like a little bit more advanced or doing a little bit less defensive work, and plus the DS guy that they just bought.
He's a freak.
He's insane. He's very, very good.
And if Laporte can ever stay healthy, he's also a freak. So like that's.
Dude, have you seen Stones recently though? Stones isn't bad.
Stones been great for sure. I just mean.
Yeah. So if Laporte and Stones are playing well, like.
I'm surprised you're not even going to talk about your guy. You're not going to talk about Aki. Come on, no.
Nathan hasn't been playing.
I know, but like he's there though when he's hurt.
I get it, and he's been bad.
All right, fair enough. All right, I thought you would go to bat for him a little bit. God damn, Chelsea does not give a fuck about their players.
Well, then you take a forward like Tyler said.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I think forward makes sense. The only reason I wouldn't go there is because until he shows me that I shouldn't believe in him, I'm gonna like Aguero is close to being back, and like I have all the faith in the world that he's just gonna come back and absolutely dominate.
All the faith in the world though is such a stretch though, because how close he's been coming back, and then he's out again.
Yeah, but anytime he's there, he's gonna score goals. So like you just even if you're getting him for games like periods of time, he's gonna bag tons of goals. Guy's an asshole.
To me, Aguero is in the category in that near category of like Suarez and Ibrahimovic, and like you just never until they retire, you you put him in the team.
But you think no, of course, if Aguero's there and you brought in Martinez, you'd play Aguero. But I'm saying with Champions League and all this stuff coming back, you're thinking Aguero's the first guy on the team sheet every single game going in.
I also,
To
well,
win
at
the
center,
Prem. That's what I'm getting at. That this is to win the Prem, right?
yeah, for sure, and I get that. I think the other thing is, I think we've seen recently that they don't need to throw a straight up center forward. They'll just throw Kevin at the false nine, and he's gonna
That's also fair.
batter everybody. So, like that, like I just
shut up.
I
That was against us.
he kicked shit out of us too, not as you. Kevin dicked on us. So I'm never gonna think that City, at least for right now. Of course, they can always improve, and I think they need a replacement for Aguero eventually. Because I think Jesus has been good. He hasn't been Aguero, which is what their standard is. So eventually they do, but I just attack, even though they've struggled a little bit this year, more so than they have in the past.
Before the Chelsea game, Kyle, everyone was talking about what for City? Their back line.
Yeah.
Everyone was shitting on how they couldn't score goals for ages.
That's because everybody's stupid. Like, chill out. Just relax. Give them a second. They'll figure it out.
I feel you.
No, I don't disagree. I just think left back is the most glaring thing that they have because I don't even think they're starters quality enough for them. Next team up that I have is let's just go with you guys. You guys want to talk about them? Chelsea. Even though you guys are gonna fire your manager, Cam's all for it. But
I didn't say that.
Cam's Frank out always. No,
Always.
Chelsea's a little bit difficult because I think that they don't have a full on I could see a player in each position that I'm like, oh yeah, he's quality enough and different things like that. Now they don't always play or they're injured, different things. So the position that first comes to mind for them would be holding mid, because Conte doesn't even play there a lot. He has been playing there, but he plays a little bit higher up too. You've seen different players play in there. Obviously, your penalty specialist is number one, and he should never play in the Premier League again for you guys, but he probably will. I just think that you need someone there. Not only Conte can obviously do it, and he would do the best job of it, but I think you got to remember he's 29 as well. So obviously this is for right now, but also going for the future. I think actually Declan Rice was my pick for you guys. You guys have been rumored with him, and I think that he makes a ton of sense for you guys. Obviously, he's the one player that I think there's a few, but he's the one player you could bring in that isn't going to take time to get situated with the club, which I think is what your problem has been this year, where you've bought in a lot of good players, but last year you go from this team that has all the chemistry in the world to this team where you have a lot of new pieces from different places and you're trying to fit them all in, and it's not an easy thing to do. So Declan, Chelsea boy, comes in, fits in really well. He gives you probably what you need, just someone who's going to, positionally be very sound. He's going to break up plays and not allow you guys to get countered and not allow teams to run at your back line when it's Thiago and Zuma running around with his head cut off. So I think that that's my guy. I think some of the other holding mids, and then the only other thing is maybe add an attacker, like a winger. I know you guys have it, but you're not getting a ton out of it. And until you get rid of strikers, I can't give you another striker. So someone like Sarr from Watford, I know he's in the championship, but he did really well. And then the other guy, I'll talk about him later, but is Berardi, who's Sassuolo in Italy. He's killing it right now.
That guy should have gotten bought 10 years ago.
Yeah, left-footed. He's kind of he's got a little bit of Riyad Mahrez in him, and I don't think you guys.
We already have that.
So yeah, well, he's frail and looks like he's from a third world country. So I don't know, but I'll let you guys talk about your club.
I think when you have Conte, you don't need a holding midfielder. So I think Frank's problem is that he just doesn't play double pivot when Mason could easily play in a double pivot next to Conte. So it's more of a Frank problem than a squad problem. I think if you're looking at the squad, like outside back, I think you're set for years. I think midfield, you're set for years, besides maybe Conte. But I think if you're looking at the deepest midfielder and Frank trusts Billy as much as he trusts Billy, it's hard to block Billy. I think even beyond that, you can look at Ethan Ampadu, who's more of like a Declan Rice type player, starts for Wales at holding mid. So unless you don't think those players are going to make it, which I think a lot of people do, then Declan is like just cramming you're cramming, it's just too many holding mids. So I'd say center back over holding mid, because you have Zuma, then you have a 36-year-old Silva, and then you have two center backs that Frank doesn't trust in Rudiger and Christensen, and then one that he is completely, oddly, unbelievably frozen out in Tomori. So you basically have one center back right now.
Yeah.
And if you don't buy another center back, especially with Thiago Silva, he has to play every other game. He is yet to play 2 games in a row.
Right.
That means you need a center back in there that you trust to, if not start, at least rotate in. And that means a left center back, and that means Upamecano, because he's the best one that there is. But that's what I got. Forwards, look, I mean, the fact that Frank can't just figure out which forwards are the best forwards, there are some that actually produce and there's some that don't. Like, it's just that's again not a squad problem. It's more of a Frank problem. So
yeah, I think having Declan Rice would be incredible. I mean, to have
totally would love
that you have Declan Rice on your bench is awesome, but he doesn't get into the team, so it's like that's not the biggest need in my mind. The center back is just the biggest issue. It's gotten obviously a lot better this year. Obviously, compared to last year, was just floodgates open after floodgates, and it started off really well. Now struggling a little bit, but to bring in Upamecano, man, like to have that, to say that, because obviously Rudiger's done. Christensen is just not good enough to win a Prem. Tomori's probably going to be out on loan, I would think. So it's like, and Thiago, it's like, who knows if that guy's going to be back? Who knows if he's going to stay healthy? Who knows? So like to bring in Upamecano and him and Zuma and Chilwell and James is a good enough back line. And Mendy to win a Prem, I think, especially with the front 6 you have going forward. So I think,
yeah, like future, you're gonna have to buy a goalkeeper too, but not immediate.
But with I just think Chelsea's a work in progress. But if you bring in that guy, dude, Jesus Christ, he's incredible.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
Like him and Zuma's athletic enough. I just don't know how. And James and Chilwell going forward, that's a good enough backline, and that's the biggest issue in my mind. I know goal scoring is like somewhat tough at the moment. Like Werner just scored today. That's great. You score from a yard out. But, man, if you bring in Upamecano, like, give me a break with that team. Because they're so deep. I really do think they're the deepest team in the Prem. Are they the best team? No, but I think they're the deepest. So I don't think you need anything going forward. I just think you need to sort out that back line.
Fair enough. Thomas?
I'm going to defer to these two Chelsea experts.
That's
here.
fair. That's fair.
I can't pretend to have watched a whole lot, so.
Yeah, it's not worth watching. No, I'm just kidding. I think I don't necessarily disagree. The only thing I would say about attacking wise is like I think it's like having to differentiate like this for this season and for the future. For the future, I think you guys are set up really well, and I agree. Like Upamecano, or some high level center back coming in makes a lot of sense, especially when you have a 36-year-old center back who I think isn't he only on a 1-year contract? So like you never know what's going to happen there. The only thing I would say is when actually what I'll do is I will bring this up for you guys.
I mean, unless we're going to recall Margahey on loan because that guy's a stud.
The only thing I would say is attacking wise, if you look goals creating actions per 90, you only have 2 guys over 1, and one of them's Callum Hudson-Odoi, who Frank doesn't rate apparently because he doesn't play him enough. And then Ziyech, who, I mean, when he plays, he's really good. But after that, Timo and different things like that, you guys are not creating a ton. So I think maybe having another attacking option this season could help. But then again, it does.
There's literally no room.
But there's no room. So that's your problem, honestly, comes from the fact
that he doesn't play the right players. That's literally the singular problem.
And
he plays Pulisic. He plays Pulisic. He plays
too.
Havertz out wide. He plays Tammy and Giroud, who are good numbers, but not great numbers. Like when it has been clear since nearly day one that Hudson-Odoi should be in the lineup, that King should be in the lineup, and that Timo should be in the lineup because that was the best three players that we had.
Yeah, I agree. But I do also think we have to be honest and say that like some of those players have not always played as well as they could have up to their potential. Timo has not been as good as he could have.
He's played at left wing.
I don't disagree that maybe he's out of position, but Timo Werner playing left wing, striker, whatever, you still expect him to score some of the goals and not miss some of the goals that he has missed either.
He's been a letdown to me. Havertz, I don't think should be a letdown because he hasn't played in his
Yeah. I'm not bringing up Havertz. Obviously, he had COVID and different things like that, and that's tough. Ziyech was hurt, but like that was like a worry coming in. So I think
Ziyech and Christian have been hurt quite a bit, so that's tough. But
yeah,
Werner, I just think that capable of that guy, even if he's out of position, I think he should be able to contribute a bit more. But Havertz, I don't agree with anyone saying that.
No, I agree.
Obviously, he should be doing better, but to play right winger when you're a crafty attacking mid, it's like give me a break.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. I think it's a bit of the players haven't performed as well as you'd like, and also Frank hasn't performed up to what you would like him to perform at. So, their issue really isn't in the isn't going to be solved in the transfer market. I think for this season.
Whoa, we need a center back.
Yeah, I get that, but it's still.
The thing is Tyler and Thomas. He wants Upamecano at United, so he's like, you guys don't need anybody. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Here's my thing though. I would if you have Upamecano at center back, like give me a break.
Yeah, for sure. That helps, no doubt.
That team they have now should still be able to, especially with the points in the table right now, should still be able to like compete for the title this year. Without a doubt.
I guess the question I would ask, just like play devil's advocate, if you have Upamecano over and you take the pick at which center back he's taking over, does that player push you that much higher up the table just alone, to go contend for a title?
I think they should be contending for a title regardless. And Upamecano with Zuma, that's not even, and Thiago just playing in cup games like Aspie does. I mean, that's a joke.
Fair enough. I guess maybe I'm wrong. I just think that you're not giving up that many goals that you shouldn't be giving up. Like especially now, the goalie situation solved a lot of that.
I'm confused. Like I guess I'm just confused. Like where this is coming from, considering we're like top 2 or 3 in goals scored in the Prem right now. So like you can say that we don't score goals, but we're like second or third.
I get my only
and up until like the last 3 games, we were first by like a mile. So and the last few games we dropped because we not scored, but that's recent form. Like historically over the last 17 games, we're one of the best scoring teams in the Premier League.
Yeah,
so,
and that's why
that's not the direct problem.
That's why my point is
Frank has some selection issues. And we know that.
I think my point is, one, if we're talking about buying a player, your issue really isn't your defense, like giving up goals, and it's really not scoring goals, which then leads me to say it would be in the middle of the field. And then 2, I think the main thing is, I think we probably all agree that the biggest issue isn't really you needing a player. It's like Frank getting it right, the players getting it right with the players you do have, because you have a good enough team to be doing better than where you're at. That's my thought on that.
Yeah, I mean we've given up 21 goals, which is like 1, 2, 3. It's like mid-table, like
3rd goals for, and like I think it's 9th against.
Yeah, so you can ask me, but just based on that simple stat alone, like
fair enough.
There's still a problem in the back.
Fair enough. Next team we're gonna go with. I think it's easy what they need for me, anyways. But that's Tottenham. I don't know. I still won't ever say they're a title challenger, but technically they're in the Big Six until Tottenham actually wins something. Which they got Jose. I mean, fuck you, Jose. But
they're in the final.
They're in the final. We're not. Hope you get bossed by Pep though. I think they need a center back. I think that's the position they need the most. We've talked about a lot of center backs. I think they need. I or left-footed center back. Obviously, Vertonghen was very good for a long time. And a guy that I look at, young, left-footed, is Dan Axel Zagadou, playing for Dortmund, and I think he would be a very good choice. He's a joke. I look at him, and he looks exactly like a player that Jose would buy. He's massive, good athlete, and I think he's a good defender, and he's pretty solid on the ball. So that would be my pick for them. Obviously, yeah, we could go with. It would just be too much of a repeat if I just keep saying Upamecano or if I say different players. I think other players you could look at are like Roman Gali from Roma, different things like that. But Dan Axel would be the first one. I think he's young. He would bring some youth to that team, but he would also bring a big physical presence as well, which we all know Jose loves. So that's my pick.
Who wants to take it away?
Cam looks perplexed, so I think he wants.
I like a backup center back from Dortmund.
I don't
like Jose's not going to buy a backup center back.
I mean, I don't know.
I agree. I agree with center back. I just don't think like a backup 6'7" center back that's a really bad defender, which is why he doesn't play. He's good on the ball. He's a really bad defender.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's the buy.
Fair enough.
I think someone more like obnoxious, like a Tarkowski. Who's the big dude for Brighton? He's a good one.
Ben White, the guy that usually leads.
No. He's too good. He's too good on the ball.
Lewis Dunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lewis Dunk. Like someone with a bigger head.
You know who I like would be a good shout. I know he signed a new contract, so it's a little bit different. So it's not crazy realistic, but would be Connor Cody to go fill in it.
Yeah, someone exactly.
Dude, he's good, man. He's
good. Connor Cody's solid though for sure. Yeah,
he's solid on the Spurs. I mean,
like you've got to think like Zagadou. I've seen Zagadou a good number of times because I like watching Dortmund, and he's not good enough in the air for how big he is. He's good on the ball, but he's not a good enough defender. And if you're thinking of like Jose Mourinho center back, you're thinking like, Toby, like jacked out of his mind, roided out of his mind, great in the air, and a hard defender, like a Gary Cahill. You know what I mean? Like someone who has bigger veins than brain cells.
That's fair.
So I'm thinking of like the kind of like cheap center backs that get a lot of hype in the Premier League, like a Tarkowski or Lewis Dunk.
Connor
Cody. Yeah, I'm thinking of like a little bit younger because that's kind of Tottenham's MO right now. I don't have a good answer, but those would kind of be my first shoutouts.
What do you got, Thomas?
I think a dream buy for them would be Skriniar. I don't think they want to spend the money for him though. I think Tarkowski would be interesting. I actually have him pegged for a team that we'll still talk about. And then I think Lewis Dunk was another one. He's good on the ball. I haven't watched him a ton. I do know from what I've seen, good tackler, can play out of the back. I don't know if he's nasty enough to be a Mourinho center back though.
He's English, probably.
Possibly, but I mean, with Brighton sitting where they are, they may look to cash in too. So maybe you can get them, at a decent price before they go. But
no, that's fair.
Spurs are kind of like Chelsea as well. They made so many signings as well recently.
Yeah, I think they made some signings that improved their team. Like they got more depth in the attack. They got a center. They got a good center midfielder, a holding mid. Højbjerg's been unbelievable for them.
I love Højbjerg.
And honestly, he looks like he's 35, but he's only 25, which was mind-boggling to me. I was taken aback by that one. I thought he was way older. Yeah, I mean, I think you could say that some of their other center mids maybe they could use. not necessarily
Him
Declan
and
Rice.
Holberg double pivot, dude. Jesus, that's.
I mean, that would definitely be a Jose signing though. Just massive, hard tackler. I mean, yeah, I could see that. Delhi being frozen out, maybe someone that can play that, but I just don't.
Delhi was very happy with Delhi's performance today.
Oh, was he? Did Delhi run hard?
Against 8th Division Marine.
Yeah.
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 How about that guy doing the Mbappe from the goal line?
Yeah, he smashes it in from 6 inches away.
Vincius.
I didn't watch the game. I just saw
Scored a hat trick in the one game he played all season. Good for him. I respect that.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Do we think Tottenham has enough at center forward behind Kane when he inevitably gets injured again?
That's a good point.
Oh, they bought this dude from wherever, so they've got to bet on him that he's
young.
do enough.
He's like 21, 22 years old, something like that. He's young. He was tearing it up in Portugal. And I mean, maybe by the time Kane gets hurt, maybe Gareth Bale's ready to play, and you got to think that guy's at some point going to score some goals for Tottenham, right? So
I just think all hope is lost if Kane gets hurt. They got no.
Yeah. That's literally exactly it, right? Like there's nothing there. I mean, if we want to go back to it, he's the perfect signing for City after Aguero leaves. If we're being honest, like that's the guy that they go get is just go buy Kane.
If that's possible, but yeah, that sounds incredible.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's the type of
good signing for Chelsea.
No, but that's the type of player that you're trying to get to.
I'd actually massively veto that signing.
You'd be so mad. I would. Yeah.
I'd be so mad. I'd be furious.
Fair enough.
I do not need Chris Evans at my football club.
He hates Harry Kane. I think it's hilarious.
He undercuts everybody. It pisses me off.
Yeah, Harry Kane's like
he just gets that treatment like Harry Maguire does, like that he has done absolutely nothing wrong when he's an absolute ass throughout the whole game.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
He'll do all the dirty stuff that nobody sees, and then like one of those, he'll look around looking for the call. It's like you act like you haven't been doing this the whole game.
I know.
And honestly, you're not wrong though. He is like the chicken and rice of football. Just like it's the most boring shit of all. Like he's very good, he's incredible, but he's so boring. Just like a boring. Like you just you look at him, you're like, I wouldn't want to have a conversation with you. Like your forehead's too thick. I could just tell this is not gonna be good. It's like Harry Maguire. Love him. He's at my club, but I don't want a conversation with that guy.
That's not why I don't like him.
But
he's just too good.
No, he's way too good. I would take him at my club anytime, any day of the week. As much as I love Martial, sorry, kick rocks.
Oh God.
I think we agree. Tottenham needs a center back. They need a Jose-esque player. Who that is, not really sure because they just need a big center back that's gonna try to murder somebody every tackle. That's literally it. The next team, it looks like the last team is they've taken over Arsenal's spot in the Big Six, and that is Leicester City. For me, I think when you look at the players they're going to get back, I think Pereira will come back, so you don't need a right back. Pereira is unbelievable. Their center backs, when all healthy, Fofana has been unbelievable. So when you have both, unfortunately, Johnny Evans is going to be out of the lineup, which hurts my heart a little bit because I think he's a good player. But I think at center back they're set. Left back, you could say they're hurting a little bit, but they seem to be trusting their young left backs. So I think maybe that's not the biggest need, especially in a market where there's not too many game-changing left backs, especially for a team like Leicester. Center mids, I think they're fine. Ndidi, Tielemans is the truth, and then Madison's coming back, being healthy. I think attacking-wise is where they really are hurting. So for me, the guys that they need, and this is, I think he would be the perfect guy. He can play on a wing if they need him to. He has a little bit of Jamie Vardy in him in the way that he plays, just like athletic, running in behind, pretty clinical. That's Patson Daka. And Cam's a big fan of him from Cards, so I know he'll love that one. But I think he's left-footed, but great athlete, very tenacious in the box, gets scrappy goals. Also, has definitely a little bit more about him when it comes to being like technical and dribbling than Jamie. Probably not as clinical of a finisher, but, great person to learn behind. And then the other guys that I would say, I already kind of brought him up a little bit, and that would be Berardi. They haven't ever replaced Mahrez, so a left footer, put him on the right wing, goals and assists. Those would be my two choices that you could get, and they just seem like Berardi's a little bit of a known commodity, but he's coming from like a smaller club. You got to go like smaller club buys. That's Leicester's MO. They're not going to big name guys. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm with you on the forward front, man. Like, Leicester's a weird club because I don't know, like they're just their signings and kind of stuff like that. Like they're not going to bring in some massive guy, but I love that guy out of Celtic. I always pronounce his name wrong, but
Oh, yep.
yeah, Otsana Edouard. I don't know if I pronounced that right.
I think you're right. That's close enough. You don't got to get that right.
The French guy from Celtic, you know what I'm talking about or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think I've seen him play a decent amount because Celtic have been doing well, so I've been watching him. I just think he wouldn't obviously take over Vardy's spot, but if Vardy went down, they're useless. I have to imagine, like not even competing for top 6. So I think he's young. He's 22. I mean, Arsenal is definitely looking at him, but I know we're not talking about Arsenal, but
Little
I
ass
think
club.
if they brought him in, then I think that would be a good signing. I think his market value is pretty cheap, so that's kind of a Leicester MO. But yeah, I like that guy a lot. I think he could be a kind of a Leicester-esque kind of player.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying about Vardy going down, like I think Leicester are as much as like Tottenham are like it's Kane or they're done. I mean, that's Leicester with Vardy, but like on steroids. Like if they don't have Vardy scoring goals, nobody is really scoring goals. Harvey Barnes has done a good job. He's a young player coming up, but I think their next leading goal scorer, like their third highest goal scorer, is Tielemans out of midfield. He's not even the attacking mid. Like you got issues. Aozi Perez, like yeah, it's like what Cam said in the beginning, like a winger that doesn't have any production, just kind of runs around. Iheanacho, I love that. He's going to be better than Rashford. Just ask everybody back in 2017. That's not working out too well for him now.
If he stayed at City, it would have been like that's different.
Nah, he got booted. He wasn't good enough.
If he was there instead of, dude, do you remember he had like 2 very, very good seasons?
He had okay seasons. Let's relax.
No, and then they brought Gabriel Jesus
because he's better
instead of Gabriel Jesus.
I think Gabriel Jesus is better than Iheanacho by a wide margin.
A striker.
I don't know.
Scoring striker.
Either way, Iheanacho's career has not gone the way that people had thought, and I think as a backup, maybe he's good enough. But even then, I still don't think he's getting enough goals, and maybe it's the system that he's in or what it is. I don't know, but they don't have enough attacking talent to contend, and that's really what it is. I mean, when you look at the Leicester team that won, I mean it was a 2-pronged attack, right? But you had Mahrez and Vardy. You got Vardy right now. And that's it. That's not enough. So, that's my thought. What are we thinking, Thomas?
I think Tarkowski was mine here. Kind of like it is with Brighton. I think Burnley is also probably, they're on the verge.
Yeah.
I think of going down. I think Tarkowski would be a good buy. He's 5 or 6 years younger than Evans. I think Tarkowski's like 27, 28. So you get a little bit more life out of that. I do wholeheartedly agree, though. I think Leicester is even more reliant, maybe not more, but as reliant on Vardy to produce as Tottenham is on Kane. And I think Iheanacho, I mean, he has scored so sporadically the last couple of years that, I mean, he was like a $30 million signing. He was a huge signing for Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
And it just hasn't worked out. So I think bringing in somebody, to challenge him, push him for that either backup role or that super sub role, we can bring somebody on just in case Vardy gets hurt. You don't want him to wear down because he's getting up there in age. I think they need to do something at the forward line to really improve the quality there just in case. Because I think if Vardy doesn't keep scoring, they're going to fall out of the top 6 pretty quick.
I agree.
I think another one too, and it's not even really acquiring somebody. I think they need to hold on to Tielemans. He's been so good, and I know a lot of bigger clubs are snooping around him, but if they can keep him, that honestly could almost seem like a signing just with how good he's been for them.
He's incredible. I mean, and he was a name that was like if you played like FIFA, like you knew who he was, but like he was a name like everyone was touting when he was at Anderlecht, and everyone thought a big club was going to buy him. And Monaco, like when they were still like buying big, came in, swooped up, bought him. He did all right, and then he's transformed at Leicester. I mean, he's unbelievable. I mean, when we played against them recently, and just like watching him just boss the game at times, it was he's really fun to watch. He's good on all fronts, sweeping up things defensively, and then making it tick on offense as well. He's a really good player, so no doubt about that. Tyler, what are you thinking?
I already said mine.
Oh yeah, Cam, you haven't talked. You just kind of like chimed in a little bit. You're like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I love the Potts and Daka shout, but not for Leicester, because he's a center forward, and they don't need a center forward. I mean, maybe as depth, but you're not buying Potts and Daka to be depth. Like, you want that guy. That guy is a goal scoring machine, and like, he's not a wide player. So I think you're looking at a wide player.
What is this texture saying me? I really wish Messi went to Leicester. Is that what you're saying?
That was it. Yeah, for sure. Kind of say what you're saying. I get what you're saying. One, I think it could be, if you look at the way Leicester plays, Maddison a lot of times stays higher, and they almost play with like two forwards at times. And depending on who's in, there's usually two forwards that stay high. And Potson, a lot of his career, has played with other forwards. And so I think that, one, he could be depth if they're not doing that, if that's not the system they play. But if you could throw him at right wing and have Pereira be right back, you don't need a guy that's going to be tracking back all the way, especially when your midfield is doing a lot of Tielemans and Ndidi do enough covering there as well. And then the other Harvey Barnes is just going to run all over the field.
I mean, I think I'm confused. I guess I'm confused because Salzburg play a 4-3-3. So what is?
He's played when he's had other strikers in, he's played right wing.
He is the striker since Holland left.
Yeah, but they have other strikers there as well that they pull it. Like what's the one guy that can't think of his name they have other players. Hang on, let me see.
I'm pretty sure Potson's like the main striker.
Oh, he is the main striker now, but like when Holland was there, he was playing. He would play.
No, Potson didn't play. Potson didn't play until Holland left.
He definitely played a little bit.
Not much. Yeah, I mean, when Holland didn't play.
Yeah, I mean,
this year he's played 13 games at center forward and 1 at left wing.
So I still think that he can. I mean, I think he's proven that he can do it, right? Like, but the thing is, we're talking about this.
Yeah, he's not. I disagree with that. He's a center forward, so if you're buying him, you want him as a center forward.
I don't disagree, but
I'm not buying Holland to put him out wide. Be like, well, he's left-footed.
No, but it's not really like that, because like the thing is, like, he's coming in, he will play it like Vardy. Again, we've talked about this. Vardy can't play every game. He will play center forward like that. If you want both of them to play, you can play two.
Wait, we're talking about. I'm going to go back to Tyler's point. Like, you're talking about winning the title here, which means Vardy's going to be on the field. So
yes, 4-4-2. 4-4-2.
If you're going to add a player, but they don't play 4-2-2 or 4-4-2. They play 4-3-3.
If you look at the way that they set
Harvey,
up,
Aozi,
and they play mids. They play mids.
And Tielemans and Ndidi are playing behind Vardy. That's 5. That's 5.
But not all of them play all the time.
It's not 4-4-2.
They have played 4-4-2, especially when Maddison was hurt.
Well, Madison's not hurt. You just said that.
Yeah, if he's in, of course. But if whoever's getting goals is the one that's going to play. That's all I'm saying.
I just Potson's too central forward for me to agree with. But I think the Berardi pick is a good wide pick. I just think he's never leaving Sassuolo. Like, he didn't leave a few years ago when he had the chance to go to Juventus.
Well, he left and then he came back. Yeah.
Yeah, he literally got bought and went back.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Berardi's a good pick. I just don't think it's
as realistic. Yeah.
And I don't know Ed from Celtic, but he does get goals. So I think my whole thing is like they need an attacker that actually can contribute to Vardy, because they just don't. They are one of the clubs that love to buy wingers that just don't do anything.
Yeah.
A bit like Arsenal, like just wingers that can't do shit. They can't score, they can't assist, they just run up and down. So I think the Edward pick is probably a good one if he's a wide player. My pick, just because I've been watching them a lot, is from Gladbach, and it's Marcus Thuram. So left winger. This guy is a baller.
Yeah, he's a freak.
Total baller. Him, I would have picked Briel Mbolo because he's also done extremely, extremely well.
Yeah.
But he's been more of a center forward for them, not so much a wide player. He can play out wide right, but more of a center forward. But Marcus Thuram has been one of the best players in Germany. He is an unbelievable dribbler. He can score. He can assist. He can play. He has played in a 2, not his natural position, but sometimes they play 4-4-2. But so if that's a thing that needs to happen, he can do it. But straight up, he's just a baller. One of the best players in Germany I've seen. Yesterday, beat Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Fully justified too. The Gladbach have been extremely, extremely good this year. A lot because of their coach, but partly because they bring in good players and use them.
They have a lot of good young talent for sure.
Yeah, but he's a really cool player. Kind of left field, but probably not incredibly. Well, I don't know. Germany's expensive now, so maybe he is.
Yeah, I think
his transfer market value is like 40 million. So, I mean,
yeah, maybe too high. Maybe,
but I think it seems a little high. But I agree with the fit. He's been incredible.
I think he's a great fit. I definitely like that fit for sure. I mean, he's a good player.
He could be too expensive. If he's like 40, 50 million, I mean, 40, 50 maybe is Leicester's peak right now. Like maybe what they peak out at. I mean, you see like guys like Wolves are spending $40 million on a player. So you think Leicester could probably do that, but
yeah, they have Champions League. Yeah, Leicester just doesn't do it. They could. I think they've been able to do it. They just don't. They trust in like getting these like hidden gems. And to be fair, except for forward, well, actually no, they got Vardy too. So, like they find hidden gems from all over the world. I mean, Conte was playing French second division when they bought him, like, and Mahrez similar, like same type of thing, and Vardy was playing non-league or whatever. Like they just find these guys from all over, and they have a great scouting program. So. We probably aren't even in the realm of possibilities when it comes to the guys that Leicester's going to sign.
Giving them too much credit. They bought Ayoze Perez.
Oh, for sure. No. Everything
for a long time.
Absolutely. Anytime that they go get a hidden gem, though, they usually turn out to be a good player. They try to buy a known commodity. It's Ayoze Perez. It's the I can't think of the guy they bought from like Sporting. A few years ago.
Omani.
Yeah, like
he's been awful.
Yeah, and like just players like they're the ones that they pay like the most money for are the ones that are actually shit. It's the ones that they get for like no money that no one's ever heard of, and they turn into like studs. So, I think we agree though. I mean, I think Thomas. I think your point like right now because Sionchu is out. That's probably, they could use another center back. My belief is that Johnny Evans is obviously getting older, but he's more than passable as a center back. He's good. I think he's a good center back. And then the Fofana has been very good. And then when Sionchu comes back and Fofana, and I think Sionchu's coming back pretty soon, like their back line for the most part is pretty set. And so their biggest need is like, and I think you agreed, is just like they need to find someone besides Vardy to score goals. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it would be a signing that's nice to have, but it's probably not top on that list.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think that wraps up the Big Six. For those wondering where Arsenal is, I'm going to reiterate it. They're not a big club anymore. They're shit. And, if they come back, they come back. It's not happening anytime soon. Arteta, I guess, is not the answer. Shocker there. But we'll see. I think we disagree on a lot of these, but a lot of them are kind of straightforward as far as like position. Maybe we don't agree on players or different things like that. But I think overall, a lot of these teams, there are needs. There are some teams that have no needs. I mean, City's one of those that they could probably just get by. They could throw anybody at left back, and they'll probably still somehow manage to win the title this year, especially since Liverpool has to field teenagers to play center back. And that's unfortunate. I really don't want to see City win again. I'm just hoping somehow we can luck our way into a championship, 21-21, you know. So I'm hoping. Obviously, you guys are hoping Frank turns it around and gets Chelsea another title. Probably not that optimistic at this point, but you know, maybe if Upamecano comes in and saves the day for you guys. That guy literally, he's built like a superhero. So if anyone can do it, it's him. Any last words from any of you guys?
I got a quick question, Kyle.
Oh, here we go.
If you throw yourself in at City's at left back for the rest of the season, you think they finish top 10?
Well, yeah, because I'm gonna pull a hamstring 5 minutes in, and they're gonna have to play.
If you played every game at left back, do you think they finish top 10 or no?
Probably not.
Ooh.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm not putting that pressure on me. I'm not putting.
If I played there, there's no chance they would.
No. But good news is for them, even if they had to play me one game, I'm pulling something immediately with the pace of that game, and they're playing somebody else, so we're good. No worries.
That's my last words. Just a thought.
No worries. You just yeah, for sure. We just wanted to talk about how unfit I am and how weak my hamstrings are at this point.
It doesn't matter how fit you would be.
Oh no,
Like,
for sure.
You
I know.
could be in your best shape of all time.
It's not happening. None of us are doing a job.
You're still costing 2 goals a game for the.
Yeah, for sure. Going against some right wing, it can be in a preseason game against like a like a championship or a third division team. Oh, I'm giving up a goal for sure. I'm getting roasted by some 16-year-old kid, no doubt about it. Absolutely. Anything besides that for any of you guys though?
No, it's probably all in vain. Eye candy.
Bitterness. That's what it is. Cameron's got a lot of bitterness, as you can tell by a lot of his comments. Well, with nothing else to say, it's been fun. We will definitely do it again. Thomas, thanks for coming on for the first time. You too. Obviously, it's always a pleasure for the most part, except for when you try to talk shit about my team. But that's okay. I still appreciate you guys coming on anyways. For those listening, let us know who you think everyone should sign. I look forward to it. Cameron will also roast you guys in the comments and tell you how wrong your picks are too. So don't worry. He's mean to everybody, if you were wondering, not just me. So thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure. It's been Tactical Foul. Love you guys. Peace.
Bye.